Hey people, how's it going? Welcome to another video. Welcome to the finale of my top 50 albums of all time. If this is your first time watching my top 50, please stop what you're doing, go back and search for part 1 of this epic quest that we've been doing. I've been counting down my top 50 albums of all time across. This is the 5th video now and the final one. So today we're going to do album 10 all the way through to the number 1 album of all time. Kevin Brown, I know that you've been commenting on every single part of this series, so I cannot wait to finally see what your top 10 is. I'm excited for that. If you know your top 10 off by heart, please drop it down below. I'm excited to see what other people's favorites are. So yeah, it's taken a while to get here, 5 weeks in, but we're here. So let's just kick it off straight with number 10. Coming in at number 10 is an album from a band that has the most entries in it, and I think this one's got 4. I've got 4 albums by this band in the top 10. So let's kick it off with the first one. Number 10 is Iron Maiden's 1986 album, Somewhere in Time. This album is just perfect. Like, goddamn. Like, everything up until this point is just absolutely amazing. You know, the debut is great. Killers is fantastic. Number of the Beast is wow. Peace of Mind is awesome. Powerslave is just off. And this one, yeah, you could say it's like the wild card, you know, up until this point, because it's very I was about to say electronic. It's not electronic. It's synthy, and it's just fitting with the times of what was happening, you know, with this whole synthesizer heavy metal thing that was going on. But good God, have you listened to this album? Yes, it's not as chuggy as Powerslave or whatever, but my God, every song on here is so goddamn good. Caught Somewhere in Time is probably one of the, I know I've said this about many songs, but that has to be one of the best opening songs ever. The fact that it's a 7-minute epic, you could say, already, and it's track 1, it's just like, goddamn, blows the absolute doors off. That song is amazing. The single, Wasted Years, who doesn't love that song? That awesome pedal-toned intro is just so much fun. Sea of Madness is the weakest song for me on this album, but it's still good, you know, it's all right. Heaven Can Wait can get a bit repetitive, but again, you don't mind it because it's got the wohos. We love a good woho. But yeah, honestly, the golden stuff from this album comes from side 2. The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, track 5, that's just the best harmony I've ever heard. I love that whole harmony section, and it's just a beautiful song. It's so fun. Stranger in a Strange Land, bouncy and catchy. That one's great. Deja Vu, the deepest cut on this album. That song's so fun as well. The harmony in that, the main little melody thing is so fun. And obviously Alexander the Great closes this album. It's up there with one of the best Maiden closes, the Maiden epics, Maiden's longest songs. You know, it's 8.5 minutes, I think, but still, this album is just perfect. And if you've listened to Powerslave and nothing else, please go listen to Somewhere in Time. It's absolutely amazing. So that's number 10, Somewhere in Time. Number 9, we go to pirate metal. Alestorm, No Grave But the Sea. I love pirate metal. I love Alestorm. This is their best album. I've said it several times. It's just amazing. When this album came out, I was so super excited to see it. And I think this is the tour I saw them on. I saw them in 2018, 19. I think it was 2019, I think. And this album came out in May 2017, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I saw a handful of these songs live, and it was just so good. The title track, No Grave But the Sea, just absolute perfect. This album, I've said this several times, this album is the perfect blend of silly pirate songs and epic metal pirate songs. You know, even like the silly songs on here are actual epics, you know what I mean? But we'll get to them in a second. Like I said, No Grave But the Sea is an epic opener. It's so heavy and thrashy. It's so fast. Mexico, a really fun sing-along single. Yo ho, Mexico. To the End of the World is probably my most skipped one on this album, believe it or not. It's still great. It's like a wannabe epic in my opinion, but it's still pretty fun. The song, Alestorm, that song's cool. It's got Elliot screaming on it. That one's awesome. Barun Bis, that's a great song, whatever that translates to. That one's fun. And then this one's got Fucked With an Anchor, you know, that's how they close every gig, I think now, more or less, that they've written that song. And then side B comes with, Fucked With an Anchor is on side B, and then you get Peg Leg Potion. That song's just awesome fun, come on. It's a blast beated absolute thing. Man, the Pumps, I really love that song. I think that one's fun. That was just it's a tiny bit slower, but it's really cool. Rage of the Pentahook, that's epic. But then the actual epic, Treasure Island, oh, is Treasure Island better than Battle of Cartagena? I'm not sure, but they're pretty close together as epic songs. Honestly, it's the perfect blend of epic and silly, and this album just does it. That's number 9, Alestorm's No Grave But the Sea. Back to Maiden again, of course. Number 8 is Powerslave, the album that I just talked about before. This album comes before Somewhere in Time. This is from 1984, and it is mostly everyone's top picked Iron Maiden album, probably because it's the most concise. You can just tell that when you hear a Powerslave song, you know it's from the Powerslave album, if that makes sense. This is not my top ranked Maiden album, obviously. It's a bit lower, but it is a top 3, top 4 album, so it's still perfect in every way. Aces High, I know I just said it about Caught Somewhere in Time, but Aces High is also one of the greatest Maiden openers ever. That one for being epic, this one for being, more singly. It's easily one of the best Iron Maiden singles. Aces High is just this short, fast-paced, energy song about Spitfire planes, and it's just honestly so much fun. 2 Minutes to Midnight, it's like an epic, but it's a single at the same time, so it's like a single epic. It's a weird thing. It's a 7-minute song, but it's a single, but it's amazing. It's got a great riff. It's got a great solo in it. Adrian's solo in that is so much fun. Lost for Words, the instrumental, honestly perfect. It's not as good as Transylvania. That one's my favorite instrumental, but I really, really like Lost for Words. I much rather listen to Lost for Words than Genghis Khan. So yeah, Flash of the Blade, that one's fun. The chorus in that is cool, and I like the little opening riff as well. That one's pretty fun. The Duelists, I love that one. That's the one about I can hear it in my head. Yeah, that one's awesome. I love the vocals in that, and the lyrics in that are fun as well, And then you flip the side, Back in the Village, I think might be my weakest song on the album, but it's still good. It's still very concise with the album. It really fits in, Back in the Village, again, it's great fun. Powerslave, the title track, good fun. Not as epic as other epics, but, it's still pretty good. It's not my favorite title track either, but it's generally really, really good. It's got, a galloped riff. It's got some almost, shreddy-like solos. There's a clean broken down section in it. It's awesome. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner closes out this album with a 13-minute song with just everything you want from a Maiden song. Just some steady gallops, some fast-paced riffs, a clean section, haunting vocals, great solos, just really awesome. Steve's bass playing on that song is absolutely insane. That middle section, the part, honestly, that part's just nuts watching him play that. It's so much fun. Yeah. You can't go wrong with this Maiden album. Honestly, if you're trying to get into Maiden, start with this one. I guarantee you won't regret it. That's number 8, Iron Maiden, Powerslave. Coming in at number 7 with some progressive metal now, we have Dream Theater's Octavarium. This album came out in 2005, and it is my favorite Dream Theater album. Everything about this album is just perfect. Everything from the songs themselves, but all the way to the conceptual idea of what this album surrounds. This is Dream Theater's eighth album, hence the name Octavarium. If you play the musical scale, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 8, and then it repeats the octave again. So this whole album is based off that whole premise. Like each song, there's 8 songs on this album. Each song is in a different key. The Root of All Evil starts in the key of F, and then the final song, it also starts in the key of F again, just the octave higher. It's honestly so good. And then in between each track, there's like little bits and pieces of sound effects and stuff there in the relative key that's in between of what note they're playing. Oh God, I could go on. I did a video years ago about what makes this album great, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but honestly, go watch that if you're interested in that kind of thing. The Root of All Evil is one of the best Dream Theater songs. It's awesome. It doesn't start, but that's part of Mike Portnoy's 12-step suite thing, the whole alcoholism recovery program. That song's just great fun. It's honestly amazing. The Answer Lies Within and These Walls. Side A is just a really strong side. It's only 3 songs, but it's such a strong side. I Walk Beside You and Panic Attack, they are great too. Panic Attack is just a freaky song. That wacky bass intro, man. Never Enough is powerful. Sacred Sons is powerful as well. Sacrificed Sons, sorry, I should say. That's about 9/11 and all that fun stuff. And then you get the last song, Octavarium, which goes for 24 minutes. Why? Because there's 24 hours in a day before the day starts repeating again. Honestly, it's insane. If you haven't heard this album, go listen to it. But if you don't have enough time, because it is quite long, listen to the song Octavarium. It's 24 minutes of pure Dream Theater gold. You can't go wrong with it, honestly. That's why Dream Theater's Octavarium is number 7. Number 6 is Metallica's Master of Puppets. Yeah, I had to put Metallica in the top 10. Obviously, I put Ride the Lightning in the last one, and yeah, Master of Puppets is my favorite Metallica album, and it always will be. I first found this album when I was like, 16, 17, I think. And the song Battery and the song Master of Puppets blew me away. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was the fastest thing I'd heard at that point, and it was just wild. And so I went out and bought the CD, and the CD just lived in my stereo in my car for a good while till I really became familiar with it. I don't need to talk about this album too much. Everyone knows what it is. But if you're new to metal and you're discovering what people like, welcome. This is a great album to start off with if you like to get into heavier, faster stuff. This album just celebrated 38 years the other day, 3 days ago on the 3rd of March, so that's awesome. Like I just said before, Battery and Master of Puppets, those two blew me away. Battery is a great opener, and Puppets is a great title track. Don't get me wrong. It follows the exact same structure almost as Ride the Lightning's song structure as well. You got Battery that starts with an acoustic riff and then it goes into thrash, just like Fight Fire with Fire. The second song is the title track. And then the third song, The Thing That Should Not Be, is the slow, draggy, heavy one. And the third song on dragging there is For Whom the Bell Tolls. So you get what I mean? And then Fade to Black is on that one. And then Welcome Home Sanitarium is the ballad on this one. So they follow the same structure, but then they change it up on side A. They change it up on side B. Disposable Heroes should have been the title track. I will defend that to the end, but that's honestly my favorite on this album. It's so fun. Leper Messiah and Damage Inc., the B-side fillers are just honestly amazing. They're not even fillers at all. And then you get Orion, the instrumental, which is the best instrumental in my opinion. That's just fantastic. It's a fantastic album. It's 8 out of 8, and it's just every note on here is perfect. So yeah, it had to be included. Number 6, Master of Puppets. Also, back to Maiden, number 5 is Number of the Beast. I will always rank this one over Powerslave because this one has a tiny hint of nostalgia in it for me, you could say. This is the album that I got first when I was really getting into the band. This was a Christmas present, not this exact vinyl, obviously I bought this much later, but I got the CD for Christmas, and this was before I found Puppets, so that one lived in my stereo. I didn't have a car at that point because I was like 13, 14, but yeah. The album lived in my stereo, and both me and Mum, we thrashed it all the time. Every time Friday night came around and we were hanging out listening to music, this album surely made an entrance. Invaders is a great opener. I don't care what anyone says. It's short and it's fun and it's just that bass little run that Steve does is so fun. The chorus is great. It's loud and it's great. It's an introduction to Bruce's vocals, and it really, if you're not ready, it really kicks you away, but it's awesome. But if you're blown away by that, it's okay, because then we get brought back down a little bit quieter with Children of the Damned, a nice little ballad. That's all right. I do like Children of the Damned. It's nice to listen to. The Prisoner with that drum beat, so much fun, and those powerful chords that really bring it in. Awesome stuff. Clive Bird did an amazing job on this album. Rest in peace, my bro. 22 Acacia Avenue, a song continuing the story of Charlotte the Harlot. This is either about where she works or where she lives, one or the other. That's great fun. It's a bit catchy and bouncy. It's real fun. Flip the side, Number of the Beast and Run to the Hills come next. Number of the Beast is a great track, as is Run to the Hills, but I am a bit sick of Run to the Hills now because of how popular it is and like how much I hear it from time to time. Yeah, Gangland can be erased off the album. I'm not a fan of that song, but it's all right, because once you get through Gangland, you then get hit with Hallowed Be Thy Name, which is the final song and the first real Maiden epic, you could say. It's such an epic song still today. They play it live at every gig, minus the ones that they got in trouble for, but hey, we don't need to talk about that. It's a perfect album, minus Gangland, but I will always pick Number of the Beast over Powerslave because it's just the first one that I really loved. So yeah, number 5, Number of the Beast. Number 4 is an album that I don't actually have because it's a symphonic European metal, power metal band, and it is Rhapsody's 6th album, Symphony of Enchanted Lands 2, The Dark Secret Saga. This album blew me away. Again, when I first heard this, I was I left school and I'd found Maiden and I'd found Metallica and all was good. And then I found Rhapsody and they blew me away with their symphonicness and their storytellingness and just everything power metal about them. I was like, good Lord, what is this? You're telling me there's a band here who writes fantasy stories across 5 albums and then they did another 5? Oh, I'm all about that. So yeah, this album in particular is the one that really hit me the most because you could say I think the first song I ever heard was Unholy Warcry, which is off this album. And after that, I just listened to Rhapsody for like a good year straight, non-stop, nothing else. It really consumed me. Unholy Warcry is a fantastic song. This album sets up the second story that they tell in their saga as well. So that might be why I like it, because it's almost like a starting point. You know, the first album is a starting point to tell this story. It's really great. Yeah, Unholy Warcry was fantastic. I don't have the track list in front of me, so I'm doing this purely off memory. Arian's Magical Rhymes, I think it's called. That one's great. The Last Angel's Call, that one's fun. Just Nightfall on the Grey Mountains is how it ends. Just really, really great symphonic power metal storytelling at its best. I honestly love this album. And like I say, it doesn't exist here because it's pretty much not available in New Zealand, and if I want it on LP, I'll have to pay an incredible amount of money. Maybe it'll get released one day, who knows? But honestly, if you like fantasy metal and you like storytelling and stuff and you haven't heard this album, I highly recommend you do it. This shaped me wanting to learn how to orchestrate music and just really wanted to do all sorts of stuff. This album inspired me to write my book that I wrote. Just, it consumed me. It's a fantastic album. That's number 4. Symphony of Enchanted Lands 2 by Rhapsody. Number 3 is a very, very personal album, and it is the 5th and final album from Canadian Black and Doom band Woods of Ypres and their album Woods 5, Grey Skies and Electric Light. I've talked about this album on the channel before. This album is very personal in terms of how I found it when I was at my lowest point in the world and didn't want to be around anymore. And this album really stopped me from doing some awful things. So it's black metal, but it's very, very beautiful black metal. And when I say that, it's melancholic, it's melodic, it's not black blast beated raw black metal that you think. It's like, it's doom black, do you know what I mean? So there are moments on here that have harsh aggressive vocals, but then there's also vocals on here that are really not spoken word, but they're, you know, really low and really clean and just really, really beautiful. This is the band's final album because just before this album was released, the singer either died in an accident or killed himself in the accident. We don't actually, well, do we know? I don't know. David Gold died in a car crash on December 21, 2011. And if you listen to the last song in this album, it sort of foreshadows that. So it's a bit like, did he do it on purpose or was it an accident? I don't know. Lightning and Snow, the opening song, is great. It's just beautiful. That's a song that's got both harsh vocals and beautiful, clean ones as well. Honestly, this album is like, it's weird. It's kind of weird that this is the last one that the band did, because if you listen to the albums before it, you kind of get this big drawn out story of heartbreak from David Gold's side. You know, the woman left, his girlfriend broke up with him and he obviously wasn't the same after that. But like the fact that this album kind of ends with him dying, and he actually died, it's almost like he finally came to grips with the fact that this was his life now. His life was finally actually without her. It's like he came to grips with it. The previous album, Woods 4, is very right in the moment and very personal and very internal thoughts, whereas this one is more, it's still internal thoughts, but it's not as internal. Death Is Not an Exit is a great song as well. I really like that one. Keeper of the Ledger has some really awesome vocals in it and some really nice lyrics in terms of like, it's a song about dying and giving yourself back to the earth, because that's what happens when everybody dies. Like the Keeper of the Ledger is pretty much death taking you back into the earth once you die, because that's where you came from, so that's where you're going to go back. Does that make sense? Read the lyrics to that and you should get what I mean. Traveling Alone is a beautiful song and should have been, if there were any singles, I don't think there were, but that should have been a single because it's damn catchy and it's really addicting listening to that song. That song's about being confronted by a religious person, like a stop in the street kind of person. And, do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior? No, here's why. It's such a beautiful song. Adora Vivos, is a song about not worshipping or remembering people after they've dead. You know, the opening lyric is a moment of silence for the dead, but not one moment more. They've all gone to be forgotten, and we are here to be adored. It's about living in the moment, and once people are dead, we move on. It's a bit morbid, but it's a great song. And then Silver is the last song on side A. Side A is very long. Silver is a song about coming in second, you know, always being second place, never being put first. And as sad as that song is, that song's beautiful too. The melodies in that are just awesome. And then you flip the side finally, and then you get the band, you get the album's maybe stupidest song, Career Suicide, and then in brackets is Not Real Suicide, which is weirdly positive and uplifting, because like if you're stuck in a rut at work and you think, I want to quit my job and go live in a van, career suicide is not real suicide. So you can do that, you know, it's not gonna, you know, just do it kind of thing. That's probably one of the most positive moments on this whole album. Modern Life Architecture is honestly one of the ones that I always skip, because it's very doomy, that song. It's very slow and it's very long and it's very drawn out. But then you get what I call the album epic of this song, and it is Kiss My Ashes, and then in brackets it has Goodbye. And that song is, yeah, as the name suggests, that's a song about dying and telling the listener, hey, when I die, don't remember me, kind of thing. Move on, live your life, forget about me. I love that song. I thrashed the absolute shit out of that song during that dark period, and it was honestly insane. It's such a good song. It's catchy, it's morbid, but it's really, really beautiful. I can't recommend this album enough, guys, honestly. If you're going through a rough time and you need some music to comfort yourself, I do recommend this album, but I do also recommend you talk to somebody as well. Finality is a beautiful piano ballad in that song. That song made me cry when I was feeling down. And then, yeah, Alternate Ending, which is an interesting song because it kind of like foreshadowed what happened. There's a lyric about driving on the highway in his last moments thinking of you, and then it ends. So yeah, honestly, like I just said, I cannot recommend this album enough. On a serious note, if you're feeling down and dark and you don't like life right now, and if you're the kind of person like me who finds happiness in music, give this album a listen. It might help you. That's all. Check out anything by the band. Their earlier stuff is very black metal, but this one's very black and doom, and it's very peaceful. It's therapeutic. It's melodic. It's melancholic. It's beautiful and sad. And I will defend this album to the end of the world. I love it so much. That's number 3. Woods of Ypres, Grey Skies, Electric Light. That was a bit emotional, wasn't it? Right, on a more positive note, number 2, symphonic metal, Nightwish and their album Imaginaerum. This album came out in 2011, I think, November 30, 2011, and it is my favorite Nightwish album. You remember when I was talking about before, I just mentioned Rhapsody, about the whole, when I left school and became obsessed with symphonic power metal and stuff, this was the band that did it first. Rhapsody came second. I heard the song from this album, I heard the lead single Storytime, and I was like, wow, what is that? That use of classical, like that use of orchestras with metal. I hadn't heard that before, and I was just like, what is going on? And I loved it immediately. I went out and bought the CD straight away. And well, I was in Australia, and I saw the CD on the shelf, and I was like, holy damn, that's not in New Zealand. So I bought the CD, and I only knew Storytime at the time. So it was a bit of you could say it was a bit of a blind purchase, but at the same time, I was so confident that I would love this album. This has Annette on it as vocals. Obviously, this is an Natalia album, but that doesn't bother me. I've got a special sweet spot for Annette because she's on my favorite Nightwish album. And honestly, everything from the calm opening Taika Talvi, which I when I ranked Nightwish, someone commented saying that it's Finnish for winter or something like that. I'm sorry if that's wrong. It's beautiful. It's just like a music box playing a little melody, and with Marco's vocal singing over it. It's great. Storytime, the lead single, is honestly fantastic. That's a beautiful song. It's so fun. It is the definitive Nightwish song. If you were to show someone a song from this band trying to sum them up, it would be that song. I swear to God. Ghost River. Fantastic. I love the little intro riff in there, and the lyrics in there, and the vocal delivery too. It's not a duet, but the way the both female and male vocals come together is great. Slow Love Slow, it's kind of jazzy, a bit jazz lounge music, but that's awesome fun too. I Want My Tears Back should have been a single. Pretty much a Dance of Death ripoff, but it's just because it has that folk tune. But it's honestly, that one's so much fun. I love it. And then you get Scare Tale. That one's interesting because it's got a really, really epic intro. I love the orchestras in there, and then the double bass kicks in. It's just so powerful. Arabesque is an instrumental. It's like a tension instrumental. It just builds up over the course of the song. It's okay. Turn Loose Mermaids, full acoustic. That one's beautiful. A chance to slow down and really let Annette do her thing. Rest Calm, I think might be the song that I skip the most on it, but it's still good. You know, when I just hear the intro, I think, nah, but give me the first verse and I'm in it. It's so beautiful. The crow, the owl, and the dove is just beautiful as well. That just sounds like something out of Narnia, doesn't it? The crow, the owl, and the dove. That's acoustic as well, with a bit of built-up tension in it to just really make it a epic song. And then Last Ride of the Day comes off this album, and that's just, honestly, that's got to be the best song, like one of the best songs they've ever done. Like that, I'm a sucker for some key changes, and that's one of the best key changes I've ever heard. It's absolutely insane. That should be the last song, but it's not. You then flip over to side D, and you've got Song of Myself, which is like this 12-minute broken up section song. You get From a Dusty Bookshelf, All That Great Heart Lying Still. Oh, is that what that lyric is? Oh, the great heart lying still. Yeah. And then Piano Black, that's beautiful. And then Love, which is just this spoken word thing by Troy, I'm pretty sure. It's cool. It's an interesting song. It's different, but it's really, really good. And then you get the closing track and title track, Imaginaerum, which is sort of like the ending credits to the movie. Obviously, there's a film called Imaginaerum as well that Nightwish did around at the same time of making the album. So Imaginaerum, the song, is the orchestral score as you would read it on the credits. So there's like little motifs and melodies from the whole album chucked into that one song, but without any metal. It's so great, everybody. People who shit on it, I don't get it, because I love this album so much, and it's always going to be my favorite Nightwish album, no matter what. Even if they come out with Imaginaerum 2, I don't think it'll beat this. So yeah, that's number 2, Nightwish, Imaginaerum. And anyone who's seen this channel before, anyone who's heard me do any sort of Maiden talk ever, will automatically know that before we even started, they knew what number 1 was. But even if you didn't know, and you have no idea, and you're new, hi, this is my all-time favorite album ever. Nothing beats it. Nothing ever will. Nothing ever has. In terms of the band's discography, obviously nothing will beat it. It's number 1. It always is number 1. Nothing to me will ever beat this 40-minute piece of artwork. It's just amazing. I've got it on vinyl. I have it on CD. I'm wearing the shirt. I'm obviously talking about Iron Maiden's 1980 self-titled debut as my number 1 album of all time. This was the album that did it. I've said the story so many times, but I'm never tired of it. Before I heard anything we've talked about, this is what I heard first. I listened to Green Day, American Idiot, when I was 12 or whatnot, and then I heard Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, and that was cool. And then Mum said to me, hey, if you like that, you should listen to this. And she gave me this, and she gave me the CD. This is Mum's, but when I left home, I took it with me. And she's got the CD at home as well. So I took that and put it in my room, and the minute I heard those first opening chords of Prowler, as simple as and as unexciting as that might sound today, when I heard it, I lost it. Honest to God, I was blown away. But the song that was sort of like the final bullet shot to the head was Phantom of the Opera. That song just shaped me to be the person that I am today. That song shaped me to be the diehard Maiden fan that I naturally became to be. Everything Maiden did after that point, I loved. I had a band after I heard this album, and once I became obsessed with it, everything Maiden did, I wanted to do. We were going to release an album. It was obviously going to be self-titled. We were going to have a title track. Our 5th album will be live. Everything they did, I wanted to do. Unfortunately, none of that happened. But still, I forced them to play Phantom of the Opera. We covered it, and we did it really well, honestly. This album, just nothing will beat it. The amount of the amount of impact that this silly little album had on me is just phenomenal, and I will forever be thankful for being able to listen to this and just live in the same time frame. Well, not even the same timeline, but living in the same era where I could still listen to this. Like every song on here is just like, it's just perfect. I'm sorry. Prowler is great. Remember Tomorrow, that's so much fun. I love the heaviness in that. Running Free is a bit simple, but hearing it live and how fun of a crowd reaction it is made me appreciate the studio version a lot more. Like I just said, Phantom of the Opera is the best Maiden song of all time. Nothing we do will beat that either. That is a song that changed me. The fact that it was 7 minutes, and at the time I thought the solo, you know, the bass solo, and then that triplet part, to me that was shredding. So I was like, that's amazing. Transylvania, the instrumental, the way that sounds on the album, just that trem picked single note. It melted my face, honest to God. Strange World, a nice, calm, beautiful one to just bring you back to reality for a moment. And then we start the quest with Charlotte the Harlot. You know, all the chords on that were fun. And then it's got Iron Maiden on it, which is actually probably my least favorite song. But still, it's a staple because they've played that song at every gig ever. And with a song like that, you know, still being played today, 50 years later almost. Next year, 2025, is 50 years of Maiden being formed. Not the first album, Maiden being formed. So it's very, very special. Yeah, honestly, I have all the time in the world for this little album, and I will defend it forever. And yeah, without bragging on forever about it, Iron Maiden's self-titled debut full-length album is my #1 album of all time. Awesome as team, there we go. We did it. That took a lot longer than I thought it would. Obviously, being the top 10, I'm obviously a lot more passionate about these albums. So yeah, was it what you expected with what you're used to seeing from me pop up? I don't know. But yeah, like I said at the start, let me know down below what your favorites are, and we'll compare, and it will be a good time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me while I sit here and take you through my top 10 albums of all time. Thank you for enjoying my passion behind it and my emotional state. It was so much fun. I'm doing another top 4. I'm doing another Big 4 debut album ranking soon. That should be up soon. I just got to listen to those albums a little bit more so I really know them inside and out. But I'll throw out some more videos shortly. But until they appear, everybody, stay inside, stay safe, listen to albums, listen to Maiden, and I'll see you all in the next video. See you later.